Oh, it is recording. Still on about Greg Byworth, or rather returning to Greg Byworth after a long tangent, but relevant to all I'm talking about. My concentration on all the things that were going on was rudely interrupted, put it that way, partly because I was traumatised by what I found out. I found, for example, the death entry for the second Dick Oakley, the second alias Dick Oakley. I found the entry for a woman who could have been my mother re-entering the country on my date of birth, which raised some serious questions in my mind. I had a housing problem also. And then in the April, it was in the April of 2011. I'll forget about what I said previously about what I discovered in the July of the same year. I'll leave that aside for now. In the April, I discovered that Amber Mattingley had died in an accident on the 23rd of March 2010. And I cannot forget that date because the 23rd of March was Elaine's birthday. Elaine, my honorary stepmom, mother of Fiona. But also, it was very shortly after I uploaded Deadly Daddy to the ether, to the internet somewhere. Can't find it again, but it's up there somewhere. It went up. That makes me think. As with Lynn, I don't see how anyone could possibly know that I would take it into my head to Google the name Amber Mattingley, this being 2011 and my last knowledge of her being in 2002. But for some reason I did. And immediately she came up in about 4 different newspapers as having crashed her bike into the side of an articulated lorry in broad daylight. I think she was about 29 at that time. I don't know how old she was when she was raped by the same man who raped me, but I'm guessing approximately 18. 2011 was 9 years after it happened to me, and she had been a victim who preceded me with this man. And I had been told that she was an awful lot younger than I was. He didn't seem to be too fussy about the age of his victims. I think my point is the connection to Greg Byworth, again, and to my upload the previous year, and to the fact that I'm known to have a memory for dates, and would not miss the fact that it was on Elaine's birthday. My father, it has to be said, could not be behind this death. It was in 2010. He was long dead, whether he died in 94 or whether he died in 2000, he was long dead. As I did say in a previous video, I discovered Amber Mattingley's connection to Greg Byworth when I went into her memorial page and discovered that his wife had contributed to that memorial page. And then I have to say I did the whole tracing back bit. I checked out her friend list, which was so easy to do at the time, and that was when I discovered that they had an awful lot of connections to Shanklin. In fact, they seemed to spend most of their time socialising in Shanklin, where Desmond Oakley died. the composite Desmond Oakley in the year 2000. I had also said that the very first thing that struck me about this crash was that it was so similar to Karen Ann's, that of my half-sister, albeit by then 45 years had elapsed between Karen Ann's death and Emma Mattingley's. Karen Ann was on a motorbike which crashed into a van, completely inexplicably, unless you count the fact that part of the brake cable was missing. I don't have Amber Mattingley's inquest notes. I assume there was an inquest. I therefore don't know the state of the brakes on her bike. I do wonder how on earth she didn't see an articulated lorry, a rather large vehicle, dead ahead of her in broad daylight. And I had said it was put down to her wearing headphones, and for the life of me I couldn't see how the headphones affected her eyesight. So the manner of the crash was very, very similar to that of Karen Ann. She was raped by the same man who had raped me, a guy called K.M. Summerer. And most of all, she knew Greg Byworth, and I knew Greg Byworth. And in fact, the DC, when he was interviewing me, asked me, he didn't tell me her name, but I remember him asking me something to the effect, did I know the previous victim? To which the truthful answer was no. I never met her. At the time I didn't know her name even. I had no idea at all about any of this. All I knew then was I'd been raped, and so had another much younger woman by the same man. So it was 2011 before I discovered this connection to Greg Byworth. Because I didn't know Amber Mattingley, and because I didn't know her family, I have no idea whether Greg Byworth had anything against Amber Mattingley. But I do think that he set us both up to be raped by the same man. I do think he gave the green light to this K.M. Summerer that I'm talking about. I don't think it can be coincidence that this woman I didn't know, this young woman I did not know, was raped by the same man who raped me, and also, like me, knew Greg Byworth. I said long ago I don't believe in all of these coincidences. And this does lead me to wonder about the level of Greg Byworth's psychopathy. In a nutshell, I am wondering, actually, if in much the same way that I believe my mother's death, in part, was a punishment of me for turning in the pawn ring, I hope to goodness that Amber Mattingley's death was not set up, and a punishment of me for uploading Deadly Daddy. Now, inasmuch as I can't find it in the ether or on any website anywhere, but I wouldn't have automatically assumed that Greg Byworth would know anything about it. But other people did know what I was writing about. And Greg Byworth was part of a very large and very evil ring. I think I've made it obvious what my thoughts are on this.